All right. So one thing I want to talk about, this is something that really applies to everything from this point on, is what we call the four pillars of success. And it relates to just about anything that we do in marketing. And it's a real simple concept. Just everything we want to do, we want to make sure that it's quality work. And we want to do as much of it as possible where things that have quantity apply. We want to be consistent with what we do. Yesterday, we talked about consistent and being consistent and persistent. This is that consistent thing. And we also want to make sure that we have diversity. So let me kind of break those down just a little bit and how they apply to the rest of the marketing stack that we're going to do. Quality just means that we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can. One thing that I truly believe in is that you should do everything you can with what you have today, and you should iterate and make it better tomorrow. So just because something isn't as good as somebody else that you see doesn't mean it's not enough quality, okay? So quality means quality for where you are today. Do not let some page or marketing message not being perfect from stopping you from launching it. I want you to be as quality as you can and make sure that what you're doing isn't going to hurt your brand, right? As long as it's not hurting your brand, as long as it's not making you take a step back, go ahead and launch it, get feedback, and do it. I'll be frank. This is, you know, the first 3-day that we're doing. This is something we've been planning for a while and talking about doing. And I know this event isn't perfect. And, you know, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we're like, man, we wish we could have had this done or this done or this done. But you know what? 95% of it is good. And, you know, we've done this enough where we can kind of shoot from the cuff and just talk about this and do it interactively and make it work and bring value to you guys. So, hey, you know, even though this thing isn't perfect on our end, we're still doing it, right? So keep that in mind. Like, you know, maybe you only have 5 products in your e-commerce store and not the 20 that you want. You know, maybe you're not 100% with your marketing copy, but it's still pretty good. Go ahead and launch it and tweak it. You know, we're going to actually talk about, one of the things we're going to talk about is it'll be on tomorrow is going to do an A/B testing. And A/B testing is really critical. So we want to have an iterative model where we launch the best that we can do today. And then we have a feedback cycle. We get results from it, look at data, and we'll show you the exact KPIs to measure and what not to pay attention to. And then once we have that data, we're then going to come up with a hypothesis of what to change. And we're going to create a small test. And then we're going to let that test and then launch it again and then do that whole cycle again. It's just going to go like this. And we're pretty much going to do that forever. We're not going to stop testing, like ever. The second your business stops testing, the second you're probably just going to, you know, write down. All right, so the next pillar is quantity. Now, quantity is not going to relate to everything, right? You don't need 20 websites, right? You know, what we're talking about quantity is like quantity of marketing efforts. So if one blog post is great, 10 blog posts are better, right? If, you know, one ad channel is good, then we want to, you know, maybe we have 2. So anything we do, or online reviews or blogs or whatever, we want to make sure that we have a quantity of things. And that we continuously do multiple things. Don't just make, you know, one thing, one page and call it a day. We want to test new things. So not only are we going to test like one product, we're also going to test multiple products. We're going to test multiple lead magnets over time. This weekend's goal is to get you one funnel, one lead magnet, one e-commerce product, you know, et cetera, just to get you moving. But moving forward, after that's launched, it gets going, we now need to start thinking about product 2, the next funnel, the next offer, right? So we want to have quantity there. Consistency, super, super important. And honestly, this is one of the hardest parts of marketing, is being consistent. You need to make sure that when you're doing something that you're as consistent as possible. When we get into content marketing later on today, we're going to talk about frequency and length of blogs and social posts and things like that. But one of the most important things is that it's consistent. Now, we actually had a struggle last week where something got missed and we actually did not get a blog out. We normally push out a blog every week and we missed one. You know, okay, that's cool. You know, we had a mess up. we're not going to, write home about it. We missed it. It's cool. We pick up, we adapt, we move on. But for the most part, we want to try to stay at whatever consistency we want. We'll talk about different frequency options and stuff like that. But whatever we do pick, if I get on, if every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, I open up Instagram and I do a 5-minute video to my audience is going to start expecting that. And then if you stop being consistent, then it's weird, right? So whether you're blogging once a week or once a day, or whether you're social posting 3 times a day or 3 times a week, whatever it is, we want to be consistent with what it is. So we're going to put some thought in behind being consistent, and then then we got to, of course, stay persistent and behind that and keep it going. The next thing is going to be diversity. So like I said, we're talking about one site, one funnel, one offer, one avatar or persona right now. But the reality is that that's not where you're going to end up being, right? That's not where I want you to end up. The worst number in business is 1, right? If you only have 1 employee and that employee quits, what happens? If you only have 1 merchant account and something goes wrong, we actually had that problem the other day. We were, I'm not sure if anybody here saw when we launched the funnel profit calculator the other day. I think it was like late last week, actually. We weren't doing it on our new site funnels tool that we're going to talk about today, but we were doing it on another tool because it wasn't migrated over yet. And that page, something went wrong. And, we lost a couple of days, but we moved it over to the new tool and boom, we were back up and running, right? So only having 1 option, not having a failback, is not good. So that's like any channel. Like imagine you built your entire business on Facebook alone. You didn't have a website. You didn't have an email list. You didn't have anything. It was just Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. What happens if Facebook changes their policy that's detrimental to how you operate? What happens then, right? I've seen it happen so many times, especially with third-party services. Things like Angie's List or Thumbtack or Facebook, or these third-party systems that people will build their entire business off of. If you guys don't know what Angie's List or Thumbtack are, they're pay per lead services where they have websites that capture leads that are interested in certain services. And like Thumbtack, for example, if you are a home service provider like a roofer or whatever, that's an avenue you could potentially use to buy leads. And their website collects leads that are interested in things across the country, and then they diversify them out based on filters and things that you set up in your profile. And it's cool. It's a great service and it works for a lot of people. The problem is if you rely on just that one thing, and what happens if something changes? What happens if you're using Thumbtack and you're getting $20 leads every day. You're getting like 5 $20 leads every day. And that number, it makes sense ROI wise, like you're making a return on that. And then all of a sudden something happens and you're getting less of them and they're costing you triple. Okay, now you got a big problem, right? So we want to have diversity in everything we do. Like I said, today we're just going to focus on getting one thing, because you also obviously everything's one step at a time. We're going to build one thing, but then we're going to think forward and we're going to come back and repeat the same method to build new digital assets, new funnels, new sites, new products, new marketing channels, etc. And that means traffic too. Like when we talk about like driving traffic, even if you're just talking about just one funnel, we're going to talk about multiple traffic driving strategies, different organic strategies, different paid strategies. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons between them. And at first, I want you to just pick one, because it's going to be hard to do 20 things at once. But I want you to pick one and have a backup. Pick one that you're going to start this week, and then have another that you're going to start in a month or so, or whatever comfortable time frame. But I want you to think diversity in everything we do. Do not rely on just one thing.